the ways that I love to think about resilience is that the comeback is always greater than the setback. Resilience is not something that we're born with. In fact, it's something that we have to obtain as a skill, just like a lot of our other skills, cooking, cleaning, taking care of our kin. It's a skill that we develop with lots of practice. And the more challenges that we have in our life, the more that we become, versed in this skill. It does have to be cultivated. And so today I'm hoping that I'm going to provide you a few additional strategies to what you already use. Every day, we all face different kinds of challenges and choices. And so we have all experienced varying levels of resilience. And so I'm not going to be bringing you a whole lot of new things, but I'm going to have you start working and thinking about and reflecting on the strategies that you currently use, and then maybe giving you a few new ones. First, we're going to start by really doing a quick check-in. And I would love for you to put your number of where you would rate yourself in relation to your resiliency. It can be, if you want to relate your resiliency overall, what you feel what skill level you have, or it could be just today, like what you feel like in this moment, whether or not you've had challenges all day today that you feel your resilience might be a little bit lower. Or if you feel like you had an awesome day, you met every challenge that you encountered and you persevered. What does that look like for you right now? You can type in the chat. And I know that some of you might not be familiar with how to use Zoom. So there should be a little icon that looks like a speaking bubble. And you can click on that. And then that's how you can not only read what others are writing in the chat, but you can also participate through our training today in that little bubble, and putting your number of what you feel your level of resilience is. Awesome. Thank you. So some 7s and 8s and 9s. This is wonderful. Oh, I'm so happy to see those. Some high numbers. 6, 5, 7, 8. Awesome. So one of the things that I'm really hoping is that by the end of this training today, that we're going to boost your number up maybe 1 or 2 notches. So if you're at a 9, I really hope that we can even surpass the 10 potentially with some of these new strategies, or just having the opportunity to sort of take in what we're learning today. And then also when we think about our number, I want us to be thinking about, do we start with a full tank each day? Are we feeling like every day when we wake up, we're ready to take on whatever comes our way? Or does it feel like we build our resilience throughout the day? So we start feeling empowered as we encounter challenges. And then when we meet those challenges and we overcome them, it makes us feel much more resilient. Those are some things to be thinking about as we kind of navigate the rest of this presentation this evening. So thank you for participating in that chat. I'm going to continue with a Zen parable. So this is really just a story that teaches us a little bit about life. This one here is about a mindset and some framework around resilience. And this one is called Perhaps. And I'm just going to read a little short Zen parable, and then we're going to set some intentions for ourselves for today, and then even for maybe our week. But so this Perhaps: once upon a time, there was an old farmer who had worked his crops for many years. One day, his horse ran away. Upon hearing the news, his neighbors came to visit. "Such bad luck," they said sympathetically. "Perhaps," the farmer replied. The next morning, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 other wild horses. "How wonderful," the neighbors exclaimed. "Perhaps," replied the old man. The following day, his son tried to ride one of the untamed horses, was thrown, and broke his leg. The neighbors came again to offer their sympathy for his misfortune. Again, the farmer replied, "Perhaps." The day after, military officials came to the village to draft young men into the army. Seeing that the son's leg was broken, they passed him by. The neighbors again congratulated the farmer on how well things had turned out. The farmer said, "Perhaps." So I think this is just a wonderful way to be thinking about what this could look like in terms of resilience. We could be encountering multiple things in our day, but with the right mindset, with the right framework to what is going on, we could potentially have a similar outlook like this farmer to perhaps. So I invite you to be thinking about that as we set some intentions. I would love for us to take the next 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and have a timer here with me, and I'm going to play some music for the next 2 minutes for you to write down some of your intentions or some of your habits that you already have and possess when you encounter something that is challenging, maybe some of your strategies that you draw on. Or some that maybe you want to have, some that you aspire to have that you've seen be really successful in someone else's life. And just to think about this, I'd love for you to maybe even write down at the beginning of your intentions this quote: success doesn't just happen, it starts with a plan. So if you would like, get out a pen and a paper and go ahead and take these next 2 minutes to write down some strategies that either you already use, some intentions for yourself in what you might draw on when you're feeling challenged, or ones that you'd like to adapt. So I'm going to go ahead and play a little song while we do that for the next 2 minutes.
I go to battle with my doubts, wage a war with my ego. I try to feed the good and starve the evil. All of these things that I faced before, they seem to come right back and ask for more. But I won't run away from them, 'cause I can't hide from all the things that live within. So I will rise above the fear and let them in. And it's gonna hurt, but that's the word. It's gonna hurt, but that's the word.
Sorry, I was trying to look at the chat and I stopped my song. You got about 30 seconds left to write anything else that you might want to, as far as your intentions or any new skills that you have or want to develop. And time is up. So I guess as in life, it's best not to multitask, right? We learn our lessons when we do those kinds of things. So I hope that this will be something that you look back on and will continue to revisit and maybe refine as either we go through this rest of the presentation today, or even a couple more times throughout the week, revisiting what your plan was for success when you are encountering some moments of difficulty or challenge, because we know that we face that all day, every day, right? We've got lots of choices. Oh, well, there that goes. Let's see. Sorry about that. So well-being, what is well-being, right? And why do we need to care about well-being? Why talk about it? Well, because we all have stress, right, in our lives. And there are different kinds of stress. There is positive stress, like for instance, me getting ready for this presentation today. I had butterflies that I was really trying to control in my tummy and, allow them into my heart so I could be able to speak to you all today. We have tolerable stress, which is oftentimes us sitting in traffic, right? We can relate to being stuck in traffic when we want to go somewhere so bad. It's tolerable, but not something we put ourselves through over and over. And then we also have toxic stress. And toxic stress is the point where it can be really harmful and detrimental to our health. Short-term stress can be mentally and physically exhausting, but long-term, that can turn into things like depression or heart disease or have other physical and emotional ailments that come through that. And so we want to talk about well-being and set an understanding for what it is so we know how to get into balance with those things. So really, we cannot maintain or achieve wellness without management of some kind of balance in our lives, right? Today, we had a coworker sharing about checking in on how is your heart and how is your mind. So thinking about where are our emotions and where are our thoughts going, right? We can control those things. And so we're going to learn today a few ways to do that. One of the things that we use in a lot of our work is a foundation of resilience and well-being combined is these 5 elements of well-being. They are relationships, physical health, our emotional health, sleeping habits, and eating habits. And when we're not in alignment or when we're not in balance with all of these areas of our lives, we feel it somewhere. We start to feel that stress. We start to see maybe something is not as productive or as effective as we were in our work, in our home life, in our emotional selves. So when we have these in alignment, sort of like these pillars, we're kind of upholding our own well-being. So it's also really a great visual for us to have when one of these is off. It would make us feel off, right? We might not feel as stable within ourselves. So understanding and recognizing that when we're not getting enough sleep, when we're not eating really nutritious foods, when we're not in a good emotional place, it has impact, sort of like a domino effect, on other areas of our lives. And so when we're out of alignment, then we need to be able to bring ourselves back to balance. So how are we going to do that? What are we going to do? What are the practices that you can be inside of to bring yourself back to balance? We're going to do a little word cloud now. So for those of you that are not really familiar with this is called a Slido, and it's going to make this really beautiful word cloud of resilience and all of the ways that you're using your strategies to bring yourself back to balance. So if you would take out your cell phones and you're going to scan, you're going to open the camera function on your phone and scan this little QR code. It's going to offer you a website that you're going to click on. And it'll bring you to a page where you can type in how you bring yourself back to balance. So you will enter in a word and it'll start to populate here everyone's ideas, everyone's strategies, however we're each meeting and bringing ourselves back to balance will start to populate here. Oh, perfect. Pray. Thank you. I'm so glad some of you are finding it. If you don't have a cell phone, you can go to this website. If you can open a second browser and type in that little number there. And we'll just wait. Bubble bath. I love bubble baths. I don't get to take them enough. I know that for sure. Music, walking, nature, deep breathing, exercise, meditate, listening to music. Ooh, yay, paint, family time. Music, I love music. That is why I have a few songs in here because I gravitate to music when I am needing to bring myself back to balance. Even if it's a pick-me-up song, right? We have some good songs that are mellow and calming, but we can also pick up ourselves. Coca-Cola, yes. Hot showers, eating a delicious meal, definitely all bringing back to balance. Reading a book, cleaning, I will admit that's mine too. And my husband always knows when I'm furiously cleaning to stay out of my way, because that definitely brings me out of or puts me back into balance. Exercise, family time, hot showers, time alone. Oh gosh, some of us don't get that enough, especially if you've got the roles that you're all in for kinship. You know that time alone needs to be coveted when we have it, right? Definitely. Thinking about other things. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Today, I heard something that was really inspiring about thinking and what our thoughts are like. If we can envision our thoughts to be like bubbles, and if it's not one we like, we can pop it. Or if it's one we like, we can chase it. You know, those are some really fun ways to think about our thoughts. They come and go, just like our emotions. This is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. A massage. Playing with the puppies. Yes, I just had to kick mine outside. Go for a drive in the mountains. Singing and dancing with the kids. Animals. So you all can keep adding to this. And if you'd like, I believe there's a way for you to save this and or you can also take a picture of it, which I think is kind of fun. Just a nice way to keep it where if you're struggling in a moment, you can look back on this and maybe pull one of these strategies out that could really help bring some balance back. A movie. Yes, I love it. So I'll give you just a second if you want to take a picture, but then I'm going to keep moving because we got lots more goodies for you. Calling a friend. Oh, yes, I love it. Gaming. Yeah, totally. You know, my kids definitely do that. I think that most of our kids are doing that nowadays. That's their way of maybe bringing balance and some serenity to their little lives, right? They're also stressed and overworked sometimes. So gaming is definitely a great release. Starbucks. Yeah. All right. So continuing on, as I mentioned earlier, each day is full of choices, right? Paths and choices that really set up our trajectory for what our day is going to look like, what our week is going to look like, our month, our year, and so forth, right? And looking back at last year, I'm sure there are lots of things that you would have done differently or choices maybe that you would have made at a later point in time, a later date. But today is our day to start something new, start something, you have a new opportunity. And that's one of my favorite things about today. So we're going to learn a little bit about that. Thriving. This is one of my absolute favorite pictures of this little girl, those big, bright eyes, just ready for life, right? Ready for experiences. What is essential for a child to thrive, interestingly enough, is very much what we as adults still need, right? What we still are dependent upon, but also what we are being dependent on to role model and to share and to offer as our experiences to our little kids that we have in our care. So one of the ways that we're trying to, think about resilience is how are we being intentional? How are we showing up for ourselves and others? Are we fostering our own well-being before we can take care of others, right? That old put on your mask first so that way you can breathe. Otherwise, you're no good to anyone else, right? And in this case, it's even putting our own masks for protection these days. Thinking about that, right? How are we going to not only continue to help our kids that we care for thrive, but ourselves, right? We're going to talk about some resiliency vitamins. So it's essential to take our vitamins, right? Whether we get them through food sources or if we get them from taking a little pill. In the same manner, it's essential for us to have similar vitamins for our resiliency. So either we're going to do and get our resiliency vitamins from our daily activities, with or without intention, or we're going to have to actually intentionally do what we need to replenish ourselves. And so what we're going to learn about these next subsequent slides is what we need to do very intentionally. But if it so happens that we do it unintentionally, that's great too. We use some of Mark Brackett's work, who I absolutely love. He is an author, researcher, educator. If you get an opportunity to read and have some time, I know that some of you said reading a book is a great way to bring yourself back to balance. So I totally suggest that you pick up his book. It is called Permission to Feel. And I'm sure, Robin, we can get them the book list maybe afterward, because there's a few more books that we'll talk about. But he really is an emotional scientist. And he goes and speaks very much about, if you can name it, you can tame it. Naming or identifying our emotions can really help support what strategies we pick in dealing with them, which a lot of the times is that first step in really helping ourselves to start alleviating some of the tension or stress that we feel when we have those big emotions. Similarly, for the kids that we care for, when we can help them identify their emotions, we can also really help them to identify how to take care of that emotion and meet whatever need that emotion is really driving in their behaviors. So this is one that is not always able to have without intentionality behind it. This is one that we really have to work toward and practice and cultivate this skill. Another one is just being present, right? Being here right now, which you all are doing. And I'm so grateful that you're here. And I hope that this is going to propel you for the rest of your evening, to encourage you to take some more time and space for being here, being present, maybe tasting the food that we eat for dinner, or tasting our midnight snack, if that's where we're going to be this evening, right? Giving ourselves an opportunity to really be present. Learning to be in the present moment without judging it really boosts our resilience. This is very similar to the skill of just being mindful or being and paying attention throughout our day. It can really help us to feel accepting and clear-headed about our options for responding. And when we're fully present, we're more likely to find appropriate levity to moments of challenge and really help relieve stress by potentially finding humor in our situation, or being just grateful for what our situation is, what we have. And so this is, I think, just one that even myself, it's hard, right? We're parents, we're living, we got school, we got sports, we're going as it comes, and not always taking the time to sit and be with what is happening in the present moment without really judging it. I think that we can all say that we kind of get caught up in that from time to time. Of course, exercise. I know that this can be a really daunting word, or for some, it could even turn off to what resiliency is. But additional to the benefits physically of exercise, there are lots of cognitive and emotional benefits that come from exercise. So exercise really helps to improve our mood. It increases our brain power because we're providing oxygen and oxytocin. All these wonderful feel-good hormones get released when we're providing ourselves these endorphins through exercise. But it also helps to improve our energy levels and improves our sleep, which I know a lot of us are probably pretty guilty that we're not getting enough sleep. If you could guess, what would you say? You can put it in the chat, and I don't want to try to look at it. So maybe, Robin, you could read off what they say. But what would you think is a good amount of sleep that an average adult should get? We know that kids should get about 10 hours of sleep up until about the age of 24. But what would you say is a good range of sleep for adults?
We have 7, 6 to 8, 8. 6 to 8, 7. So yeah, 6, 7, and 8 looks like.
Yeah, well, perfect. Because typical adults should get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And so
somebody else has said 12, which I agree with, Keith.
On some days, yes, right? Bring it back to balance. Do what you got to do. But certainly 7 to 9 hours a day is pretty healthy for what an adult should be getting. So this is definitely one that has, by exercising even for 10 minutes a day, right? If you can mindfully move for 10 minutes a day, this is really one of those kinds of things that small increments do add up over time and really have long lasting and multiple benefits for us in our lives. So I want to ask, and maybe you can put it in the chat, because this can be an intimidating word and it's not one that everyone likes to do, right? But how or what can you do to improve your mindful, intentional movements? And you can type that in the chat box. These might be walking around the block, right? It might be, I remember my mom used to have this shake weight, and that used to always make me laugh, but it could be moving your shake weight, right? That just, you feel it working. You can do, what is your mindful, intentional movements? And then those are also really great ones that if you see a new one that you never thought of, you can write it down and use it for later. Save it in your back pocket. Robin, do you mind reading if there's some popping up?
Not at all. We have taking photos, dancing while cooking, taking a hot shower with aromatherapy, reminding myself that life doesn't have to be serious, deep breathing.
Yes. I love the idea of taking photos because you can walk and take some beautiful photos outside, right? Go get a nice nature walk. I did see earlier that people are talking about being in nature. And so you could go for a nice walk, take some pictures. That's like serving all kinds of purposes for ourselves.
We have doing a dance video, which I've actually seen become so popular right now during COVID with our families. That's like a family thing. You can do it on your own. Another person, again, going for a walk, dance party with the kids, always being positive, even during a hard or a bad situation, walks on lunch breaks.
Yes, totally. Love it. I'm trying to do the walks on lunch breaks.
Going fishing. Tough. I love
that. Love that. Thank you for sharing those. And thank you all for sharing and being active in the chat. It always makes it much more fun when you can provide your peers some ideas for things that they can be doing. And then you can see some ideas and know that this is working for some people.
We have one more that says daily walks with the puppy, which is always fun.
Hey. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're dog lovers in this house here too.
And some also learning a trending dance with the kids, getting outside of my head, and puppy cuddles.
Yay. Oh, yes. I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing. Awesome. So we're going to move on to our next vitamin here. When we talk about gratitude, right? Gratitude is so powerful, so important. It actually does so much for us. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to do a little exercise. So we're going to do another Slido, which will be another really great way to see what people are grateful for. And I know there are days that I have a gratitude journal and I struggle to find what it is in that day that I'm grateful for. And so when I see other people expressing gratitude for things that maybe I didn't think about, it's really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and let you all start putting in what are you grateful for today, right? And I'm going to share a quote that I found today that I really loved. Eileen Caddy said, "Gratitude helps you to grow and expand. Gratitude brings joy and laughter into your life and into the lives of those around you." And another one I recently saw was that the best way to improve your mood or your moment is to be grateful. So let's see what we got. We got my family, being alive, absolutely. My kids' laughter, oh, that's my favorite. I try to record it all the time, but I tend to miss it. My family, home-cooked meals, friends, for my spouse's support, absolutely. I think even the Fostering Family Program, right? They offer so much wonderful resources, and there's wonderful people working in this program that are really incredibly dedicated to supporting all the families and kinship caregivers that there are. My health, a great job. Yes, yummy food. My animals, my home, health, family and friends. I love the smiley face. I've never seen that before. Health, family, My family. So the way that this works, if you're not familiar with how Slido is, the more people that put the same word, it starts to grow. And so you'll see that the words that are a lot larger, that means that multiple people have put in that same response. And so things like the my animals, the health, family, friends, all of those, God, have been put in multiple times. And those are the things that people are really grateful for. Grandsons. Yes, wool socks. I love it. See, on a day that I'm struggling to find something to be grateful for, wool socks, right? That is awesome. I love it. Church and family, a warm vest. Yes, we don't realize how fortunate we are when we have a warm vest and others don't. My home. Waking up, seeing all of my kids. I love that. I love to get my kids up in the morning. I just told my son this morning how much I appreciated that he's nice to wake up to, because he's always happy and he wakes up ready for the world. And I sometimes struggle to do that. So I appreciate his modeling for me. Family, a great job. Helping others. I love that. Yes, that is a resiliency skill to the max, right? When we help others, we help refill ourselves as well. I love that. Taco Tuesday. Woo! We got tacos too. I love Taco Tuesday. Childcare. Oh gosh, yes, totally. Huge gratitude to childcare and those that work in childcare, especially for what they get paid. I think that if you have an opportunity, if you have your children in childcare and you maybe hadn't said thank you in a while, or you haven't, if you saw them somewhere outside of their childcare role saying thank you. And for all of you, you're doing that very same thing, right? Childcare. I love it. So you can continue to add to this if you want to take a picture of this. And I think I actually might. I love some of the emojis that are on here. I haven't seen that before. And I love, prayers, my kids' hugs. Yes. These are all wonderful things that we can draw on later. Thank you for sharing, everyone, and participating. This is so beautiful. I love it. So we're going to get to our next vitamin. But feel free to keep adding. It will continue to populate and continue to make a picture on your side if you see it. And then you can snap another picture of it later. So another vitamin is regulating. This is incredibly crucial to really our overall health, emotional regulation, or even just regulating to our center. In the short term, regulating can really help us feel better in the moment, right? But strong regulation skills can really improve our performance at work or at school or in our parenting role that we're in. It can also really enrich our personal relationships and lead to stress reduction, which ultimately promotes better health overall, not only emotionally, socially, but also mentally and physically. So regulating ourselves a couple of times a day is a really great way to continue to boost our resilience and cultivate that. For our littles that we have, for those that we have in our care, regulation is one of the most critical skills for their social and academic and emotional well-being. So this regulating piece, not only are we setting such a great example for our littles, they're still co-regulating. We're still being their co-pilot in their own regulation skills. So it's a great skill to continue to practice and refine every day. Not only for our health, but for the health of our kids that are watching us all day, every day, right? They are like those little mirrors. They're like parrots walking around. The next one is breathe, deep breathing, right? I want for us to even take a few minutes or seconds probably to just take a few deep breaths right now. So if you want to do some deep belly breathing, and then we'll talk about what benefits you've just given yourself. So we're going to start by taking a deep breath in, holding it, and exhaling. And we're going to do it for 3 more times, breathing in, hold it, let it go. Another time. And one more. When we deep breathe like that with our belly, we're actually resetting our nervous system. It brings relief of tension and anxiety. It actually brings more blood flow and oxygen to our brains for clearer thinking. It also can help us to reduce pain and shift our mood in the moment, slowing down to be one with our breath and listen to ourselves breathe and feel where that breath is going into our bodies is a natural way to relieve stress and anxiety. When you're really stressed out, right, a lot of us tend to have that deep, heavy sigh. And that is actually an automated response and a natural response that our body has in efforts to relieve tension. And a lot of the times we can even feel that when we have that sigh, our shoulders drop, right? Because we're literally taking in energy and air and oxygen and then releasing the tension, because a lot of us tend to hold that anxiety and tension in our shoulders. And so when we're taking in those deep breaths and when we're sitting with our breath, it is just a wonderful way to have sort of a reset. And it's also a great tool and strategy to use with your kids. It's definitely one that we can teach them to continue to draw on when they're feeling anxious or when they're feeling stressed or when they're feeling like they're overwhelmed. It's a great skill and tool to help them reset their little bodies as well. Connection, right? This is the key to healing and the key to resilience. We all need validation. We all need others to emphasize with us. We need to have connection. We need to have that person that we can talk to. I encourage you in this moment, as we're thinking about connection and what it means to us, to maybe write down one or two people that you can call when you need support, that you know will answer if you need support, right? And then even after this meeting today, text them, call them, tell them thank you, tell them how much they mean to you. Let them know you're grateful that when you call, they answer, right? You don't even have to have a whole lot to say. Especially it's coming to be bedtime and dinner time, and everyone's trying to have their rituals and routines to bedtime. Just letting them know, hey, thank you. Or you mean a lot to me, because when I call, I feel that you see me, that I belong, and that I'm important. Like all of those things are really impactful when we share that with others as well. And of course, maintaining, right? I love this image of the water bottle, because what we know about water is that we need it, right? We know that when we're thirsty, our body is really sending us signals that we should have been drinking water probably more throughout the day. That's how I feel right now. But maintaining is not only about what we're putting into our body, right? It's really the sustaining of it as well. We need to help sustain our resiliency. And so how we do that is with a lot of these vitamins that we just talked about, right? It's also a way of thinking about maintaining energy. What are we going to focus on? What are we going to pour ourselves into? Are there places and spaces in our lives that we can conserve some of the energy that we have? Because each of us only has a finite amount of energy every day. It is not infinite as much as we'd love to think it is, but we have a finite amount of energy. And so what I want to give us is just an idea of how we can conserve some of that energy and how we can start to really provide ourselves permission to let go of some of the things that we just really cannot control, or some of the things that we really cannot influence. This is another great resource that we use a lot in our work when we're working with teachers who have, again, a finite amount of energy, as you do with your kids, right? In knowing when and where we need to let go and give ourselves permission to let go of things that we just can no longer hold on to. So this is just a really great tool, and I love the visual. There's also a really great activity that goes with this, where if you are needing to let go of a few things and you're feeling really stressed out, you can take some Post-it notes or a couple of pieces of paper. Scrap pieces of paper will work. Receipts often work really well too, if you need to write on the back of a receipt. But writing down the things that are really bothering you, the things that you feel are continuing to pop up as issues or continuing to give you stress, writing down what those things are, like the never ending loads of laundry, right? The never ending homework that's coming home. It can be anything. It can be personal. It can be work related. It can be in relation to your kids, your spouse, but writing down those things that are really challenging you. And then finding where in this sphere of control would they fall, right? Would we put it under something we can control? Is it something we have control of? Or is it something that maybe we don't have control of? So that's anything outside of ourselves, right? We'd love to think we have control, but the truth is that we control ourselves and only ourselves. Or is it something that we can have influence over, right? Can we make some changes or conversations or decisions that maybe will influence the things that we'd like to happen? Or is it completely outside of anything we can control or influence? And do we need to let it go, right? This also is a really great way to help set up a plan for something that maybe you need to move on, maybe something that you need to have some action to, right? If it's something that's bothering you, you could set up a plan. The next thing would be, after you identify it, what are the action steps that you're going to take to help conquer that challenge or help conquer that problem that you're having, right? Like certainly the laundry could be an example that is my problem, right? I have a never ending loads of laundry. So how am I going to conquer that? So then it's sitting down and writing, well, I can do 2 loads in the morning and I can do a load at night until I catch up, or I can do 1 load a day. However that looks, it can be about writing a plan and just kind of gaining that control for yourself. And a lot of the times it is just trusting the process, right? Trusting what's happening and trusting what's going on and knowing that you have lots of supports. This is what this group is about, right? This is what being a part of this fostering family is, right? You're a part of this family now. And so how grateful that we have something like this available for us. The last couple of closing remarks that we have is just remembering and reminding you that you are loved and lovable, and you will learn this from how I treat. Oh, this is for the kids. I'm sorry. You are loved and lovable, and you will learn this from how I treat you and how I treat myself. So when we think about this, it is essentially kindness to oneself, right? And how this really leads to kindness of others. I just want to ask you to, before we leave, thinking about one person or someone who loves you, and how do they express love to you? Do they have that expression in words? Do they have that in actions? What is it that they do that makes you feel loved? What is it that they say that makes you feel loved? And then take those feelings and turn them on towards yourself, right? So really removing any kind of barriers that you might have and taking that kindness for yourself, allowing those words and actions to fill your body, your toes, your fingertips, your heart, really to the T, right? And then as we've given ourselves some permissions to let go of things, I also really encourage you to give permission to unplug, right? This is one of the biggest, in addition to all of those other vitamins, this is also really helpful to our resilience, is unplugging, just really getting back to what we have at home in this space with you, just being mindful of removing ourselves from what we tend to distract ourselves with, right? Because we can definitely get lost in that. So just unplugging, even after this, unplug, go look at what you wrote down. Hopefully you wrote down some really great things that you can continue to use.